Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmasvarupine Aravarishthaya Mukam karoti vachalam Pangum langhayate girim Yatkripatamaham vande Paramanandamadhavam. Mukam karoti vachalam. Even a dumb person who cannot speak, he can be transformed into a eloquent speaker, lecturer. He can become a talkative person. A lame person who doesn't have even legs to walk can be made to jump a big mountain. These are all impossible feats. But this verse tells, the meditation verse of Bhagavad Gita, one of the meditation verse, it tells, if we tamaham vande Paramananda Madhavam. Ma means Lakshmi, Dhava means the husband. So if Madhava or Krishna's or the Lord's grace is there upon us, even the impossible can be made possible. So that is the meaning of that shloka, Mukam Karoti Vachalam. So let us bow down at the lotus feet of Shri Krishna, Ramakrishna, Mother Sharda Devi, Swami Vivekananda. I offer my heartfelt pranams to all of you. Now you can see it is 7:30. In India it will be 3.5 hours earlier. That means 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11 o'clock. So there is one more hour when Lord Krishna will be born. So we are all waiting that Lord Krishna should be born. Wonderful Leelas of Lord Krishna now. If I immediately go to the Leelas and the things of the Krishna, you may be feeling, oh, another lecture we have to hear for a long time. So to divert your attention, let me bring to one incidents from the life of Charlie Chaplin. It was said that Charlie Chaplin was the only person whom Albert Einstein wanted to meet. In 1931, he got this chance to talk to this actor. Now, Einstein is praising Charlie Chaplin. Einstein is telling him, what I must admire about you, your art, sir, is your universality. You don't say a word, yet the world understands you. To which Charlie Chaplin replied, true, sir, but you, Einstein, your glory is even greater than me. How? The whole world admires you, even though they don't understand a word of what you can say. But see, for past thousands and thousands of years, we have been admiring this child Krishna. Even as a child, he has done so many feats. Even without talking, even when he was a small child, just born child, even when he was just 10-year-old, he has done so many feats which we cannot understand at all. Yet we are praising, we are worshipping Lord Krishna. Why is it? What is it? This is called Sri Krishna's Leela. If we are born out of our karma. We are forced to be born here. But the avatars, the Lord's acts are called Leela, play, game. Particularly when the Lord descends as an avatara. As I've told many times, avatara means descending down. We use the word karma for the acts of we ordinary people, men, or jivas, the living entities in the broader sense. The difference between Leela of the Lord and karma is that karma, our karmas, our action binds us. Whereas Leela does not bind the Lord. He comes down out of His infinite compassion towards us. Karma is mostly selfish. Whereas the Lord's Leela is always for the benefit of the universe or the world. Leela, the play of the Lord, often is seen happening to rescue devotees from their karmas. So now we can understand the Lord, it is just a play for Him, everything. Now, as I told you, we are all waiting so that Lord Krishna is to be born. But how many years since all of you have been waiting Krishna is to be born, and then you put the cradle here, you keep that image and go on swinging it and you offer Him. But should you not make Him be really born? Where shall we make Him really born? You can make that in your own hearts. As I told you, another one more hour is there. We will go on preparing ourselves for that. If we prepare our mind, make it pure, like one person. Who did that? Who manifested that Lord in our own heart, in our own life? Let us now take the help of Sri Ramakrishna for some time. Then come back to, first we will go to Dakshineshwar, then we will go to the pilgrimage of Vrindavan or Mathura, where Lord Krishna is born. We all heard in the life of Sri Ramakrishna a name called Aghoramani Devi. She was born of a Brahmin family about the year 1882 at Kamarhati, a northern suburb of Calcutta. Following the social customs of child marriage, she was married at the age of 9. Her wedding was the first and the last time she saw her husband, for he died before the marriage was consummated, leaving her a widow of 14 years of age. So then there was no widow remarriage. They had to remain the whole life as widow. But something came to her help. What was that? However, she was initiated into spiritual life by her husband's family guru. And with what the mantra was given to her, child Krishna, as her chosen deity. And what was the name? Gopala. What is meant by go? Cows. Pala means one who looked after. So Lord Krishna, as a child of 5 or 6, so as he could walk, then father and mother allowed them to go with the Gwala Balakas, that is the cowherd, the shepherds, to graze the cows. Krishna would catch hold of the tail of the cows and would swing and go and play and come. So you all know the Leela of Lord Krishna. Just now we heard it from most revered Swatmaramanadaji Maharaj. So now that aspect, the child Krishna, is called Gopala. Go means, as I told you, cow. Pala means one who looks after. Now she got the mantra of Gopala, the child Krishna, is very young. Now, how did she spend her life? Now, as a child widow, from the age of 14, what is she doing? Nobody with her. Gopalerma. She was given the name Gopalerma, Gopala's mother. Arose at 2 o'clock in the morning, washed her face and hands, then started a japam, which continued until 8 o'clock. From 2 o'clock in the morning, she used to sit for japa, and then up to 8 o'clock, just imagine how many hours, nearly 5 hours in the morning. Then, next she cleaned the Radha Krishna temple, washed the worship vessels, picked flowers and made garlands and sandal paste. She was twice every day. First in the Ganga in the morning, and then the evening near a pond. She would go to the pond and bathe. So Ganga was flowing nearby, near the temple where she lived. Then again she meditated for some time under a bilva tree in the temple garden. Next she collected dry firewood and leaves for her cooking. In those days there was no gas cooking or electricity, so she had to cook with the firewood. She used to collect that. She usually cooked rice, dal, bitter squash and potatoes. Her food offering to baby Krishna or Gopala was worth seeing. She would place a wooden seat on the floor for Gopala and offer cooked food on a banana leaf plate, which she set before him. Afterwards, she would partake of the prasad. After a little rest, again she got up and practiced japa, meditation, until evening. When she would attend the Vesper service, this is the Arati of Radha Krishna, and listen to devotional singing, satsang, then her supper was always very simple, a little milk and 2 or 3 coconut balls, that's all. Again, she would start her japam, which continued until midnight. Then again, morning, 2 o'clock, she would get up and do the japam. Can you imagine? She did this routine for 30 years, from 1852 to 1883. Now, by 1880, Sri Ramakrishna's name had begun to spread, and it was in the fall of 1884 that Gopalerma first went to Dakshineshwar along with, and Sri Ramakrishna received them cordially, gave them some advice on devotion, and he also sang few songs for them. Only a jeweler understands the value of a jewel. Sri Ramakrishna recognized the spiritual magnitude of both Palerma and the landlady, and praising them in a sweet manner, he said, "Ah, what a beautiful expression on their faces. They are floating in the ocean of bliss and devotion. Their eyes are soaked with divine love." On another occasion, Sri Ramakrishna commented about Gopalerma. What was that? Now we will go back to Vrindavan from Dakshineshwar or Mathura. What is that? Ramakrishna is telling, this Gopalerma, Krishna, was sitting beside his mother, watching her churn milk into butter. Now we shall see who that fruit seller, that woman is. This story comes in Bhagavatam. But I do not know whether that same person was referred by Ramakrishna, but Ramakrishna is told, so it should be true. So let us go back to Vrindavan and see what is happening. Now, child Krishna is seeing his mother churning the milk there. He was hopeful that once she finished, Yashoda would give generous share of butter to eat. Now, just then, a fruit seller, a woman with 2 baskets of fruits, fresh mangoes, she started shouting, fresh mangoes. You know, in India that system is there. I don't know in South Africa whether that is there or not. There will be a cart with wheels and they will be pushing vegetable fruits. They will be going on the roads calling either vegetables or fruits, and people will come and buy it. South Africa, I don't see that routine. You know, even during the COVID, the fruit and vegetable salespeople used to be allowed to go, because otherwise how will the people live without vegetables? So it so happened once during the COVID that vegetable vendor, fruit vendor was going, shouting the name of the vegetables and the fruit which he had. The owner of the house was sitting inside. He was bored of watching TV and sitting there for a long time. If you go outside, the policemen will beat and send them inside. They will not allow them to go out and walk. So he was the CEO of a big company. Now what did he do? He had a plan. Oh, this vegetables seller is coming, the vendor. Let me go out. He talked to him. See, I will give you 1,000 rupees. You can come and sit in my house. I will give you coffee, tea, lunch, everything. The whole day you sit here. I will go out and sell your vegetables and bring back all the money and give it to you. You sit here, that's all. Take rest. I will give you as much money as you ask. No, I am not going to take money. I want to go and sell. Why is it? I am not the real vegetable vendor. I am the owner of another company. That vegetable vendor is sitting in my house eating the food and coffee. I have given him a lot of money. I want to be free, go around. And I am going, I don't want your money. He went away. So now, the fruit seller, this lady, she started shouting, mangoes, mangoes. She was selling the freshest. The father of Krishna now here called out to the fruit seller, and she came to the doorstep. Krishna noticed, little Krishna noticed she was carrying 2 baskets of freshly picked delicious mangoes with her. As soon as she stepped into the house was filled with sweet aroma of ripe mangoes. Everyone was delighted to see such ripe, juicy mangoes. Especially this child Krishna was already hungry. The days when people would barter, money was not much exchange, it was barter. So now instead of using money to pay, goods were generally exchanged for grains and other farm products. Now Nandaraj went into the house and bought out a basket full of grains and then offered it to this lady who was selling the mangoes and told her, "Is this enough, mother, for your mangoes? I want 1 basket full of mangoes." She was very happy that basket of grain was taken. Then mango went in. Lord Krishna, baby Krishna was watching all these things. Krishna watched his father carefully. He has carried out the barter. Though he was still very small, he understood that mangoes could be bought in exchange for grain. So he ran inside the house granary. So he bought as much as he could catch hold of in 1-2 fish like this. Baby Krishna, you can imagine Gopala, how much of grain can he carry? This much. Tightly held, but all the grain started falling down. Such small hands, baby, toddler is coming somehow. Then he came to this fruit seller. Immediately Krishna ran inside, picked up little grains with his little hands, tightly closed the fist to ensure that not a single grain fell out, but it was all falling down. Krishna ran towards the fruit seller. He offered the contents of his hands to the fruit seller. And he told, "Can I get mangoes for this?" Now, this was the first time that lady, the woman fruit seller, saw Krishna. She looked at that beautiful everything around her and was unable to take her gaze of this beautiful child, Krishna. Krishna called out in his innocent voice, "Mother, could I have some mangoes too?" Saying this, he emptied the contents of his fist into the fruit seller's hands. His little hands could only grab a few grains. Krishna suddenly realized that with so few grains, he may not be able to buy any mangoes. The fruit seller's disappointment on the little boy's face, but she gladly put that grains given by Lord Krishna, the child Krishna, to her sack and filled Krishna's both arms with juicy golden mangoes, so much so that Krishna couldn't carry it. With little hand like this, he carried all the mangoes. He went inside. The little boy's joy saw no bounds. He was extremely delighted and everyone in the house was so happy. Now, because of the joy of that child, because of the joy of that Lord is now so happy, suddenly the basket of grain that Nandaraj had given and all the grain turned into a basket full of gold and precious gems. The first smiling at her. At that instant, she knew that she was standing in the company of no ordinary mortal, but God himself. Now we'll come back to Dakshineshwar. Who is that fruit seller? Ramakrishna is telling, during Krishna's incarnation, she was the fruit seller in Vrindavan, and she would feed Gopala with sweet fruits. Now she is born, and she has now come to the company of Sri Ramakrishna. A few days later, while she was practicing japam, her desire to see Sri Ramakrishna became so intense that she immediately left for Dakshineshwar by herself. In an ancient custom, that one should not visit God or holy person empty-handed. So, on her way, she bought 2 pennies worth of some stale sweets, which was all that she could, confident that Master would not eat them, since so many people bought better offerings every day. But no sooner had she arrived at the, said, "Oh, you have come. Give me, what have you bought for me?" Now she was embarrassed, but she reluctantly handed over the stale sweets to him. Like a hungry boy, Ramakrishna started to eat them with great relish and said to her, "Why do you spend money for these sweets? Prepare some sweets, coconut balls, and when you visit this place, bring 1 or 2 of them with you. Or you may bring a little of ordinary dishes which you cook yourself. I want to eat the items, the food prepared with your hand. Even now, because Sri Ramakrishna liked this coconut ball and Krishna also liked that coconut ball, even in all the ashramas, the coconut ball is prepared, that sweet coconut ball, and offered to Sri Ramakrishna every day in the morning. Now, during the next 3 or 4 months, Gopalarma visited Dakshineshwar several times, always carrying some plain food for Master. Invariably, he asked her to bring some new food on her next visit. Sometimes she would think in disgust, "Oh Gopala, is this the outcome of my prayers to you? You have brought me to a holy man who only asks for food. I shall not come back again." But as soon as she returned back to her house, she would again feel that irresistible attraction to go and see Master. Her mind would long to see Master. It was the spring of 1885. One morning at 3 o'clock, Gopalarma, as usual, was sitting and performing her japa. Now you will see Lord Krishna will be born in her, that heart. You will see so wonderful. You will really feel the thrill. Now she started to practice her japam. After finishing the japam, she began her pranayama and was about to offer the result of the japam to her chosen deity, Gopala, when she noticed that Sri Ramakrishna was seated at her left with his right fist clenched like Gopala. Startled, she wondered, what is this? How did he come here at this odd hour, 3 o'clock in the morning? As she later described, I looked at him in amazement and thought, how did he come here? Meanwhile, Gopala, as she called Sri Ramakrishna, kept on smiling sweetly. As I took courage and grasped his left hand, Sri Ramakrishna's form disappeared and in its place appeared the real Gopala, Krishna, a big child of 10 months. 10 months old, his beauty and look cannot be described in words. He crawled towards me and raising one hand, baby Krishna is just crawling on 4, and with one hand he raised his hand like this, Mother, give me butter. This overwhelming experience bewildered me. I cried out so loudly that if there has been men around, they would have been assembling there. With tearful eyes, I said, my son, Gopala, I am a poor widow, helpless widow. What shall I feed you? Where shall I get butter and cream, my child? But Gopala did not listen to me. Give me something, mother, to eat. He kept on saying, what could I do? Sobbing, I got up and bought some dry coconut balls from the hanging basket, placing them in his hand. I said, Gopala, my darling, I offer you this wretched thing, but don't give me such a poor thing in return. I could not perform japam at all that day. Gopala sat on my lap, snatched away my rosaries, jumped on my shoulders and moved around the room. At daybreak, I rushed to Dakshineshwar like a crazy woman. Gopala also accompanied me, resting his head on my shoulders. I distinctly saw Gopala's 2 tiny, rosy lotus feet hanging on my bosom. Can you imagine? See? This is the way you have to make the Lord be born in your heart. Not just come, do some arati, eat some prasad, sing some bhajans and go away. Do the sadhana the Guru has given you. Realize the Lord in your heart. He should be made to be born in your heart and see Him, play with Him. That is what Ramakrishna has told us always. You can realize God, you can talk to Him, you can walk with Him, you can feed Him. See, everything is happening. That's why I brought this incident, so that we will get inspired. Yes, now, even now we can see Him. Now, when Gopalarma came there to Ramakrishna, one lady who was cleaning Sri Ramakrishna's room, she told, I was then cleaning Master's room. It was 7 or 7:30 in the morning. In the meantime, I heard somebody calling Gopala, Gopala from outside. The voice was familiar to me. I looked and it was Gopalarma. She entered through the eastern door like an intoxicated person with disheveled hair, staring eyes, and end of her cloth trailing on the ground. Nobody consciousness, only Gopala, Gopala. She was completely oblivious of her surroundings. Sri Ramakrishna was seated on his cot. Sri Ramakrishna now, from the cot, he got up what happened now? I was dumbfounded seeing Gopalerma in that condition. The master, in the meantime, entered into an ecstatic mood, samadhi. Gopalerma sat beside him, and he, like a child, sat on her lap. Tears were flowing profusely from her eyes. She fed the master with cream, butter, and sweets which she had bought with her. I was astounded, for never before had I seen master touching a woman in the state of ecstasy. After some time, the master regained his normal consciousness and went back to his cot. But Gopalerma could not control her exuberant emotion. In a rapturous mood, she began to dance around the room, repeating, Brahma is dancing, Vishnu is dancing. Watching her ecstasy, the master said to me with a smile, look, she is engulfed in bliss. Her mind is now in the abode of Gopala Krishna. Can you imagine? Yes, we can also have this. Now, one day, Gopalerma came to see Sri Ramakrishna with nothing inside this body but God, only Krishna. He fills it through and through. Then the master fed Gopalerma with his own hands, fed her with various delicacies and gave her some food also, which she had received from several Calcutta business people. At this, Gopalerma said, why are you so fond of feeding me, Gopala? Sri Ramakrishna replied, you have also fed me with so many things in the past. In the past, when? She asked. In your previous life, Sri Ramakrishna said. See, what is the promise of Sri Ramakrishna? In Bhagavad Gita, Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvachantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. Quickly they become virtuous and attain everlasting peace, O son of Kunti Arjuna. Declare it boldly that no devotee of mine is ever lost. Just few fruits given, and lives after lives and life, the Lord is protecting her. The Lord himself again promises in Bhagavad Gita, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janaha paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. The devotees who think and meditate upon me always, I not only take care of their spiritual needs, I also look after their worldly needs too. So the Lord has kept up his promise, you can see. And another place, Bhagavan Krishna tells, Svalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even if you do little good work, you will be protected immensely. Lord has told. See, just few mangoes, some sweet fruits. She doesn't know who this child Krishna is. And with devotion she has fed. And the Lord has to protect her lives after lives after life, and looked after the spiritual need and everything to her. So when we do some service, what is there in our hand? Serve the Lord, seeing God in all the destitutes, the poor people, the devotees. Serve the Lord in all the ways, then you see the Lord will also be forced to protect you. That's the message we have to take from this Krishna Janmashtami. Not just come, sing bhajans. Yes, we have to do, that is wonderful, hear things. But we have to make the pledge. We have to realize him in our heart and be blessed like that wonderful mother. Now, with that wonderful statement of Sri Ramakrishna, I will end my talk, because in the next session, I'm going to speak about the birth of Sri Krishna, because that will be nearing 12. But now, let us see what Sri Ramakrishna tells about this Gopalerma. Now, a few days later, Gopalerma went to Dakshineshwar to visit the master. After greeting him, she went to the Nahabat, or concert room, where Sri Ramakrishna's spiritual concert, known as Holy Mother, lived. It was Gopalerma's habit to practice japam whenever she had time and opportunity. 30 years she has been practiced millions of japa. That habit, how can she give up? Whenever she gets time, she sits to perform japa. She sat there. While she was doing japa and meditation in the concert room Nahabat, Sri Ramakrishna himself came there and said, Mother, why do you practice so much japa? Even now, you have plenty of visions of the Lord. Gopalarma replied, Gopala, shall I not practice any more japam? Have I attained everything? Ramakrishna told, yes, you have attained everything. Everything? Yes, everything. What do you say? Have I really accomplished everything? Yes, you have. It is no longer necessary for you to practice japam and austerity for yourself. But if you wish, you may continue those disciplines, pointing to himself, for the welfare of this body. So we will prepare for the birth of that wonderful child Krishna. We have seen how this Gopalarma realized the Lord in her life with that intensity and faith. Let her also, we have been initiated by our Guru with that mantra. Do the japa intensely with faith. Whenever we get the opportunity, and real our egos and fights and jealousies and other things making money, let us now on this special day make a pledge. We will at least give some time to realize that wonderful reality which is in our own heart. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.